This is the first video in a series on how to use the Moodle workshop activity. With editing turned on, you will go to the Add an Activity drop-down menu and select Workshop. At the Adding a New Workshop screen, you will enter a workshop name. This is the name the students will see on your website that they will click on to go to that activity. I'm going to call mine Research Peer Review. I will give the students a brief introduction, and I'll format it a little bit. In the workshop features, you have Use Examples. Example submissions are provided for practice in assessing. This is something that you can show the students a practice paper and how it was assessed so they know what you're looking for. Checkmark this box if that is what you want to do. In the next section, you have Use Peer Assessments. A student may assess the work of others, and that is how I am using this particular workshop, so I will check that box. You also have the option of allowing students to assess their own work. So it would be a self-assessment on their product using a rubric or some scoring device that you list. In the next category, we have grade settings. Grades for submission, and you can select your points value. And if you use the gradebook, you can list the category you want this grade to be entered in. The grade for the assessment, the student assessment, I'm going to allow 20 points, and again you could put it in a category. The grading strategy, there are 4. Now let me show you, if you're not sure what these represent, or at any point on your screen, you can always click on the little circle with the question mark and it will give you help. So we have 4 grading strategies. A cumulative grading where comments and a grade are given. Comments, only comments but no grade. Number of errors, comments and a yes/no assessment are given, and a rubric, which could be a level assessment that you would submit on how the students are to grade each other. And then your decimal places and values I will leave set to 0. Submission settings, here are my instructions for submission. You could have any types of instruction right here, and you can format it so that it stands out a little bit more for them to notice. Maximum number of submissions. Do you want to give them more than one time to submit? And then your maximum file size. I believe in Moodle the maximum file size you can have is 20 megabytes. And do you want to allow submissions after the deadline? Yes or no. Assessment settings. Here are my instructions for the assessments. Again, you can make the font sizes bigger and a different color, something to make them stand out. In the next category, we have access control. If you want, you can enable an open for submission date, when they are allowed to submit, their submission deadline, and so forth. So you can enable these and set dates if you want to. You can, of course, also set up group modes if you have 2 or 3 course periods and you want to keep only students in the same class grading each other's work or something like that. And then I'm going to save and display. And you can see what it looks like right now. Here's my introduction. And on the setup phase, I have 2 sections already completed that the Moodle activity has already checked off. Set the workshop introduction, provide instructions for submission. Now I have to list my edit assessment form. How do I want the students to assess each other's papers? So I will click on this statement to go to that screen. Since I selected a cumulative grading, I will have this particular screen right here. And right now, as I scroll down, you'll see there are 3 aspects that I have that the students can score on, but I can select to have 2 more aspects and continue on until I have all the categories I need. So I'm going to add a few things in here. I'm going to say one of my aspects is, do they have correct spelling? And the grading scale I will use is a 1 to 5. And it will be weighted at 1, but if you have an aspect that's more important than others, you can weight it higher. Correct grammar, and at least 3 facts. Now, I could add more items, but for this example, I will stop with 3, and I will save and preview. So this is what the students will see. When the students are assessing it after they read their peers' paper, they will then give it a score of 0 through 5, and they can make comments. When they're finished, they will have a submit button. And now, after looking at that, I'm going to save and close. And this is what we have. The setup phase is complete. The next tutorial will go into the submission phase.